Good evening, everybody. This is Alderman Lee from the 11th Ward. We are having a community meeting that's an update this evening regarding the subject property at, what's the address? 3118 South Canal Street, where Henry's Bait Shop currently is. And we have with us representatives from the Puitak Christian School. I do welcome everybody that's on the call. I'll just give you a rundown of how this is going to go. We'll do some brief introductions. We'll save the presenters for last. I would ask that people who are on the call, and I'll call your names out, just identify yourself, who you are, if you received a notice in the mail, or if you are a neighbor in the general vicinity, or if you're just a neighbor from the ward that's interested in what's going on. Just go ahead and identify yourself for us, and then we'll get going with the rest. Bonnie, I got your attachment, and we'll start. So if I call your name and you're with the school, just go ahead and say so. I see Andy. Andy, if you can unmute your line and just introduce yourself, that'd be great. All right, we'll move on. Brian Lee.
Hi, Brian Lee with architect with as one of the presenters.
Okay, great. Thanks for introducing yourself, Brian. Chuyan.
Hi, this is Chuyan. I'm a parent of Puitak students.
Okay, great. Thank you. Cynthia.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Poon. I'm also a parent of the school with a child at the school right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Everybody's moving around. EJ Fernandez.
Hi, I'm just an architect here.
Okay.
With White Company. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. I've ET. I see you on here twice. You can mute one of your lines and introduce yourself. We'd appreciate it. Okay. I'll move on. Fong Sun.
Hi, I'm the parent of a Puitak student.
Great, thank you. Gail.
I am a homeowner in the area.
Great, thank you, Gail. Thanks for being with us. I have Helen on an iPhone. Oh, you're on mute. We can't hear you, Helen, but oh, you can't unmute. Okay, that's fine. I see you. You're waving. Are you a parent or are you a resident? Parent. Okay, we're gonna go with. Okay, good. I like that we can do charades on these calls too. Okay, Jack. Jack Chu.
Hi, I'm Jack Chu. I'm a parent of I'm a parent with Puitak as well as a Bridgeport resident, and I work at IIT.
Okay, great. Jim, I know who you are. Jim, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Mark, an architect at White Company.
Great. Kathy is part of the 11th Ward team. Katie Johnson.
Yes, I work for Puitak.
Katie, I knew that. It's so out of context. I apologize. Okay, Leo. Leo. No worries. We'll go to Matt.
Hey, Matt Mallett, neighbor.
Thanks, Matt. Rachel.
I also work at Puitak. I'm the communications officer there.
Great, thank you. I've lost track of where I was. R. Titus.
I'm an employee of Puitak School.
Okay, great. Sorry, the participants keep moving around, so I can't tell. I'm letting some more people in too. If I missed you, can you just unmute yourself and identify yourself? Sorry, the list is getting a little bit tricky now. How about one PW? I saw you pop up.
Hi, I am Juan Perez Wheeler,
I'm Tracy.
and we are parents.
Okay,
Wait,
nice to meet you. Thanks for being here.
thank you.
Is there a,
Hi, this is Sally Wang. I'm a parent of Puida Christian School.
thanks, Sally.
This is Nam Shu. I'm on the board of the Puida Christian School.
Great. Thank you.
And David Wu, I'm on the board of Poita Christian School.
Hi, David. Good to see you. I see a Helen on an iPhone. See, when you join, you get busted because then I see you pop up on my screen so I can call you out. Helen, if you can unmute your phone and tell us who you are, that'd be great.
Hi, my name is Helen. Can you hear me this time?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the parents of PTCS.
Oh, okay. You,
Yeah,
you went off and then you came back on.
Right.
No worries. I feel like I've missed lots of other people here. Scott?
My name's Scott. Yeah, my name's Scott Dresden. I am a parent of Poitok students and also a neighbor near the new site.
Great. Thanks for being here.
We'll make it easy. This is also Scott. My name is Scott Steffes. I'm a project manager and architect with White Company.
Great. And I see a Tarima.
Hi, I'm a parent at Puita Christian School.
Great. Thanks for being here with us. Did I miss anybody else? Did I miss neighbors in particular?
Hi, my name is Mary, and I live right next to the new school.
Okay.
Site.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks for identifying yourself. We appreciate you being here. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Jane. I'm the parents of Puitak School.
Okay, great. I think that might be. Oh, good. Go ahead.
This is Han. I'm a parent of a kid in Puitak School.
Okay, great. Thanks, Han, for being with us. All right. We've got 32 participants on the call. I feel like we got close enough to the ballpark of introducing everybody. So as you can see, we've got a good mix of people here. So I just want to kick this off with a little bit of context. Prior to my appointment, this conversation started in the ward back in 2019. I'm going to allow the attorney, Mr. Pekarsky, to introduce himself here in a second. He'll speak, and then there'll be a short presentation. We'll be able to answer questions. As I understand it, there have been at least 2 other community meetings prior to my coming on the scene. So there's been a lot of discussion and really like sharing of information on the part of the school and what they're trying to do with the property. It's currently zoned 3C, which does make it eligible to have a school, provided they obtain a special use permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Pekarsky. Go ahead.
Thank you, Alderman. And I want to thank the members of the community who have shown interest in this project along the way for these many years that we have been proposing and presenting. And thank you once again for welcoming us to speak to you about a proposal to construct a new school at the site of 3118 through 40 South Canal. Now, if you're on this call, I know you're familiar with the site because you're if you've received notice, you're a property owner within a 250-foot circumference of the site. So I won't belabor a description, but it's a approximately 273-foot by 120-foot 5-foot site that's historically been used for production manufacturing type of uses over the years. The property is currently zoned C23, which is a zoning that contemplates a range of heavy commercial uses and large massed buildings, and high density if a property or if a developer was proposing proposing residential for the site. That's not what we're proposing. I'm just wanted to give a background on what the C23 allows. A school, grade school and high school, we're proposing a grade school, is allowed in a C23 by way of a special use. So this isn't a zoning amendment, this isn't a variation. This is a judgment that's already been determined by the legislature that a school is appropriate in a C23 district, but the particulars of each case should be reviewed by the Zoning Board of Appeals to determine the appropriateness of that particular, the way that particular school is going to be operated. And interestingly enough, if we were educating older children at a university, this would be a permitted use. If we were educating younger children at a daycare, this would be a permitted use. But we are a grade school, and it has been determined that that this requires a special use in order to operate as proposed. We have previously presented our proposal to the community and received feedback each time, which is we've amended the plans and made it a more acceptable and a better plan both for the community and for us each time. And we have received a warm reception from the community. Unfortunately, as with many construction plans over the last 2 years, we were sidetracked during the pandemic. We are now here to refresh your memories of the proposal as we get it back on track and move forward to operating as a new grade school. We have assembled. You've met the team before. Any of you who have been watching and attending hearings over the last couple of years. We've assembled a great team for this project, including Bonnie Hose, who's the principal of Puitak, Jim Mark and Brian Lee, who are architects for this project, and Louis Abuna, who is our traffic engineer. All of these are the speaking members, as you heard when Alderman Lee was soliciting the names of everybody online. We have an even larger group of teammates here, but Bonnie, Jim, Brian, and Louis will be our speaking members today. So with that, I would like to first introduce you to Bonnie, who will discuss the particulars of Puitak.
Bonnie, you all should see the presentation now. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, you can. Okay. So I'll just, Bonnie, I'll take cues from you. Thanks for that. Yep.
You could advance the slide to the agenda page because we already introduced the speaker. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Alderman Lee, and thank you all for joining us this evening and give us the hearing. And so we will go with the agenda. I will give a very brief update, and introduction about the school, and then we will move on to building design and traffic study. So next slide, next one. Puitak Christian School existed for almost 70 years. It was founded in 1953, and it carries 70 years of quality education providing to the community. Would you please move forward one slide? And as you can see from a humble beginning, this is the very, very first class of graduate back then. And now we move forward one more slide, and 70 years later, our mission remains the same. Puitak Christian School's mission is to equip young learners academically and spiritually to be future leaders for God's kingdom. And we very, very much focusing on character education, and we have been seeing good results. And in order to deliver Quality education, we use the following program. Next one. We provide preschool starting from age 3. With the new facility, we will be providing starting from age 2 instead of 3. And then we have all the way up to 8th grade. And besides that, we have after school program, enrichment program, as well as JSP Jumpstart program in the summer. So it's year-round program. We are also trying to, when we have a new building, would definitely open up our after-school program and our enrichment program, Jumpstart program to students beyond our own student, meaning that student doesn't need to attend Puerto Christian School, but be able to benefit from the after-school program, enrichment program, and Jumpstart program. Next. We have been blessed with a very, very qualified and committed team. And the test, the standardized test result that you're seeing actually is affected by the pandemic negatively. But even so, you know, the number might be too small for you to see, but if you just look at the green and you will see the first tallest green indicated how well Puerto Christian School is doing. And I think the pandemic is affecting every school across the board. It's a matter of affecting a little or a lot. We too were being affected. So we are trying to get the score back up as we move on to this new school year. Next. So this one is showing language art score. The previous one is the math score. It's pretty much the same. It's about 67 exceed expectation. When we say exceeded expectation, meaning that the student are scoring 75 percentile and above, and that is exceeding. Thank you. Next one. With the result or the test result, one might imagine that the school probably has a lot of resources. Actually, it's quite the contrary. The school actually it has been a challenge for the school because of the limitation of the facility. So then we launched Project Nehemiah in 2018 to try to tackle this particular challenge. But you know, the bullet point that you see here is not everything that we are facing with. It's just a few. Okay, next one. This is giving you just a little bit update. Project Nehemiah Phase 1, we launched it on February 2018. We have completed Phase 1 in April 2019. And then October 28, we have secured the property, which is located in on 3118 Canal Street. So this is the property that we are talking about tonight. And so the next one, projecting forward, actually, as we completed Phase 1, we were in the process of preparing to launch Phase 2, and then the pandemic hit and everything kind of on hold. All the energy shifted to something else. And now we are picking it up, and now we are trying to prepare the launching path for Project Nehemiah 2. And this is a rough timeline or time projection. We are praying that we could accomplish according to our timeline here. And we would pray that we will see construction will start somewhere around 2024 or 25. Next one. Before I turn over the mic to Brian Lee, I just want to mention, I talk about the challenge that Puerto Christian School is facing, but I want the audience to focus. You know, Project Nehemiah is not about a school running our space. Project Nehemiah is about a school having a big dream to impact, to triple or double or triple the positive impact to the community. With so little we have, we could achieve this much, and imagine with a right facility, I believe we could achieve a lot more, and then many more children and family in this community and beyond would be benefited from the education provided by PUITAC. So now I'd like to turn the mic to one of our architects, Brian Lee.
Thanks, Bonnie. Next slide, please. So most of you all know the site between 31st and 32nd on Canal. Next slide. Is actually very close to transit. Next slide. And the site, as you know, currently has 2 buildings on it, 2 older buildings that were purchased as part of the purchase. Next slide. As Tom had mentioned, the site zoning is currently for heavy industrial or motor vehicle related commercial uses that requires a approval for the elementary school. I might note that the allowable area on the site is an FAR or floor area ratio of 3, meaning you could build 3 times that site area. So it's possible if somebody desired to build 102,000 square feet on the site, up to 60 to 55 feet. Next slide. But what we're doing, we're proposing that on this site that has the 2 existing buildings, that we would build about 47,500 square feet. So less than half the allowable area for the FAR 1.39, with a maximum building height of 55 feet. And this represents the target that Bonnie and her group for the PUITAC Christian School has decided that would have a total of about 396 students and about 45 employees. Next slide, please. So this is just showing the existing massing of the 2 buildings there. And I think that, just as a note to those of you that probably understand the site, we had intended to reuse the existing buildings, but they turned out to be in poor condition, one of them particularly, and also that the 3-story building is not suitable by code for elementary school. So unfortunately, we could not use the 3rd floor of that other building. And so it made it very impractical to save any of the existing buildings. Next slide. So what we did was to take that 47,500 square feet and try to mass the building sensitively on the site by setting the building back about 57 feet from the street property line, and then another approximately 40 feet from the south side property line to avoid any conflicts with existing homes. And that we felt was a sensitive massing that kind of tried to allow there to be open space, a landscape along that edge. Next. And so the building is organized with that setback from Canal Street to allow for an entry drive to get cars off the street, to have some off-street parking, which is located at the top of the page in this location here. The entry drive is in this location here. And then we've organized the ground floor so that it has 5 pre-K classrooms, some staff and administrative areas, and a welcoming entry off that entry drive that allows us to have some public space and waiting area at that location. We also then place the playground on that southern side as a kind of a buffer to the adjacent residential areas, and having that important ground level open space for the children. Next slide. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors then are dedicated to classrooms and learning spaces. We have the junior K, as well as junior K located on that floor, as well as the auditorium that would be accessible. The auditorium would be accessible from the public through a large open stair, as well as elevators into the auditorium. And then on the 3rd floor, we have the cafeteria, as well as 1st grade kindergarten that continues up to the 3rd floor that has the grades 2 through 8. Next slide. And so that simple massing, we think was successful in making for an efficient floor plan for the school, but more importantly, a facility that really would take care of some of the goals of Poitok for collaborative learning, for spaces that were appropriate and really right-sized for the various grade instructional goals and programs. It has a variety of different classrooms, as well as spaces for after-school programs, and then masked in a way that clearly you can see there's a very welcoming entry, that great portal that leads into the facility itself, where then you can take the stairs or elevators up to the auditorium, which is this space here, which we see it as kind of a glowing beacon to the neighborhood. And then the classrooms are on the left side of the main entry. Next slide. Next slide. And then this shows the front view from South Canal Street, which shows again the portal entry that invites you in and tries to adopt a certain amount of openness and transparency. The classrooms, the 4 levels of classroom that are on the left, and then the auditorium space that is over the staff and employee parking areas to cover that area. The materials, we hope to develop that as we go further. We're really not here to kind of talk about it, but we really see it as a way to kind of find some warm colored materials, probably brick or masonry, precast, or other kinds of materials that tend to be in the coloration of some of the existing structures in the neighborhood, with a significant landscape layer and buffer along the street. Next slide. And certainly as we move into the design and develop it further, we'll be updating you all and also looking towards not only the goals of the city for sustainable design, but certainly our own sort of ethos of developing something that is high performing as a building. It certainly would have green roofs, rainwater retention, photovoltaics for energy, renewable energy, high efficiency mechanical systems, a high performance wall, strong vegetation, outdoor lighting that would provide safety for the neighborhood, integrated landscape and vegetation, permeable paving, a lot of features that we hope to embed into a very simple design to make it really a very strong center for learning for not only the kind of Poitok community, but also as a hopefully a destination for the community at large. Next slide. I'll turn it over to Jim to talk about some of the additional programs and how we came up with some of the kind of so the traffic basis that we were talking about today.
Thanks, Brian. Good evening, everyone. So when we begin to design a project, the first thing we need to do is we meet with Bonnie and her team. It's really to determine the student and staff capacity. So as you can see here, the school is designed to have 396 students. And just to give you a sense of kind of the pre-K is about 176 students, kindergarten, first grade are 80 students, and first through eighth grade is 140 students. So that gives you a sense of the type of age of kids that will be there. But also when we do that, we have specialty classrooms like music, art studio, as well as other program spaces like Brian mentioned, like the gymnasium or the auditorium or the library and the cafeteria. And of course, there's staff offices and other services such as restrooms and janitorial spaces. Next slide. So now Bonnie and her team that have that information, they're able to go back and then look at what is the impact on the parking for the site itself. So I think Brian may have mentioned by code, you're only required to have 15 parking spaces. The good news is we actually have 45 parking spaces on site. The other good news is with the analysis on the lower left-hand corner, it was determined that there's an estimate that probably just a little less than half of the staff would probably actually be driving there, whether to take the CTA or walk or bike there. The other impact is, of course, as Brian mentioned, the cars coming on the site. And so The analysis was done in terms of projected drop off and the pickup. And, and with that, there's a certain volume and duration that they used, and it can take anywhere on the drop off between 1 and 4 minutes, with an average like a minute and a half. And by optimizing it or making it most efficient, the largest impact is at, I think, at 8:30. Again, 8:30. But after that, it kind of levels off. And at 8:30, at the peak would be 130 cars, and then it would end up dropping off to about 80. Now, pickup takes a little less time, between 1 to 3 minutes, and the peak there is around 3:30. But with some kids staying for after-school programs, it kind of levels off. Just parents are able to come between 4:30 and 5:30 to pick up their kids. And the biggest impact you can see there at 3:30 is about just over 100 cars. But after that, it drops off. Next slide. So here, Brian mentioned where the parking is. So really, the parking with all the students are actually parked underneath that gymnasium or auditorium up on the north end of the parking lot. On the east side, there's a visitor employee parking, depending on where they park. But what we like about this, the way that it plans out, you enter on the north side and you drop off and pick up. I'm gonna annotate this right along here, if it comes out or not, for the drop off and pickup, and then you exit off on the south end down on Canal. And so again, with the visitor parking and the drop off, this allows to have most of the all the drop off and pick up on site. Next slide. I'll pass it over to Louis.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim. Good evening, everyone. My name is Louis Abuna. I'm a principal with KLOA, and we perform the traffic study for the proposed school. Next slide, please. As part of our traffic study, we documented existing conditions. We visited the site. We examined the existing street system, the available alternative modes of transportation in terms of buses, the existing traffic volumes, how much traffic traverses the area roadways and adjacent intersections. We looked at all modes of transportation, the vehicular traffic, pedestrians that are crossing, bicycle traffic, trucks, buses, and everything else. So we had a very comprehensive understanding what's happening in the area. We looked at the traffic characteristics of this proposed school, and as you heard from Jim, in terms of the the maximum enrollment, the arrival, and the drop off and pickup patterns, how much traffic the school would generate, and where people are going to come, parents are going to come from and leave to. And then we looked what the impact this additional traffic will have on the area street system. We modeled it to understand how these intersections operate today and how would they operate after the school is built. Next slide, please. Again, this is just an illustration of the location of the site. So on the left-hand side is the map showing the location of the site south of along Canal, south of 31st Street. And the exhibit on the right is an aerial representation of the site location. Next slide, please. These are the diagrams that represent our evaluation of existing conditions. So the first exhibit to the left shows the characteristics of the street system adjacent to the site in terms of the type of traffic control. So for example, the intersection of Canal at 31st is under signal control, and the other three intersections that make up the four corners are under all-way stop sign control. There are pedestrian accommodations at all of these intersections. There are crosswalks. The signalized intersection of 31st and Canal, there are pedestrian signals as well to accommodate pedestrian crossings, the intersection. The exhibit in the middle represents a summary of the traffic count data that we collected at those respective intersections. We looked at the morning peak hour, which will coincide with the school start time between 8 and 9 a.m. We also looked at the early afternoon hour between 2:30 and 3:30 p.m. and that's when the dismissal time for the school will occur. And then we also looked at the street peak hour in the evening, which occurs between 5 and 6. And there will be some traffic leaving the school as it relates to extracurricular activities and students staying longer hours at the school. So we wanted to make sure that we're examining all 3 time periods and evaluate the impact of the school. And then the last exhibit to the right shows a summary of the pedestrian movements at these intersections, as well as the bicycle traffic at all of these intersections. All of that was taken into account as we modeled the impact of the school. Next slide, please. Again, this is the ground floor plan. You saw that Jim kind of went over the circulation pattern. There'll be 396 kids, 45 teacher and staff. One of the important elements of the school is the staggered pickups and drop-offs is going to occur over extended period of time, which is very important because it's going to spread out the traffic loads in and out of the school and on the street system. There'll be some early pickups for pre-K that would occur during midday, again, help reduce the traffic during the afternoon pickup. And then again, as I indicated earlier, there'll be an early pickup at 2:30, but then there will be others that will occur after that due to the extracurricular activities. In terms of availability of space on site for drop-off and pickup, there'll be 9 on-site lay-by on the west side of that drive aisle, which is the east side of the school. It's shown in blue. There is availability of up to 11 spaces on Canal Street that could be used for overflow lay-by, as well as 22 parking spaces on the east side of the site fronting Canal that could also be used for parents to park and take their kids, younger kids, into the school or pick them up at the end of the day. So there's be about 42 spaces available for pickup and drop-off activities, which is more than ample to accommodate the amount of traffic that the school would be generated. There are 23 additional on-street parking spaces to accommodate the teacher and staff parking. And as it was indicated earlier, 15 is required by code. In our analysis, we assume that all the kids will be dropped off and picked up by vehicular traffic. There is a potential future bus service that may happen in the future that would reduce some of that traffic. There's also availability of CTA in close proximity that some of the kids would be taking, as well as some kids that may live in the neighborhood and walk to the school. So there's a potential that the traffic that we estimated in our traffic study will be less than what was assumed, but we wanted to be conservative when we assuming that everyone will be coming in a vehicle and departing in a vehicle. Next slide, please. This has a lot of information in terms of the summarizing the results of the study, but essentially what this represents is how these intersections will operate with the increase in traffic resulting from the school. We typically, in the traffic engineering industry, we label intersections of what we call level of service, which determines the operations of the intersection, and it's graded from level service A, which indicates that the intersection operates at a high level of service and with a lot of capacity, to level service F, which suggests there's some congestion and delay. And if you're able to read these tables, you can see that the majority or all of the intersections that we analyze are going to continue to operate at acceptable levels of service. Most of them are going to continue to operate level service E. The signalized intersection of Canal and 31st will operate as level service C or D, but again, that's within the acceptable ranges for that intersection being a signalized intersection. So what this is indicating that the intersection surrounding the site, which will be mostly impacted by the school, will continue to operate within its carrying capacity at acceptable level of service. Next slide, please. So as part of this study, we made a number of recommendations in order to ensure that the drop-off and pickup activities are adequately accommodated. One of the recommendations that you've heard already, that the north-south drive within the parking lot will be restricted to one-way southbound traffic. that the north curb cut during the drop-off and pickup will be restricted to inbound movement only, and the south curb cut will be restricted for outbound traffic, right turn only. And one of the reasons that the right turn only is recommended is to ensure that traffic is exiting the parking lot in an efficient manner, so the traffic doesn't back up internally and the drop-off and pickup procedures can occur efficiently. The parents will be instructed to arrive at dismissal and not before. The parents will be asked to pull up to the end of the drop-off pickup zone in groups of 4 to unload and load at the same time. Again, that would be an orderly way of allowing the kids to get out of the car or load up into the car in an efficient manner, and it helps to move the queue or line of cars quicker. There will be no waiting, drop off or pickup zones allowed. So parents can arrive early to wait for their kids to pick them up. So that drop off pickup zone will be free of any stopped vehicles. Parking on the east side of the parking lot will be for kindergarten and pre-K parents only during drop off and pickup time periods. There will be traffic aids positions at different different locations within the parking lot to expedite the student loading and unloading, and also to ensure that the traffic is flowing efficiently. There will be no pickup or drop off in the streets surrounding the school. The parents will be instructed at the onset of the school through flyers and emails that that will not be permitted. And we recommended that the school should have a transportation coordinator that would act as a liaison between the school, the parents, the city, and the community to ensure that things run smoothly, and if there are any issues that can be addressed in a timely and efficient manner. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, based on our traffic study, the study concluded that the traffic that will be generated by the school will not have a significant impact on the area intersections, as evident by the results of the capacity analysis that we conducted for those intersections and the acceptable levels of service that will result. The access drive as designed and as it will operate during this drop-off and pickup will be adequate. And the traffic that will be exiting the school will be under stop sign control, so that will minimize the impact on Canal. And then with the recommendations and the amount of space being provided on site, the pickup and drop-off activities will be sufficiently and efficiently accommodated on site without impact on the through traffic on Canal Street. With that, I conclude my presentation. I think turn it over back to Bonnie.
Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out to join this meeting. And we sincerely and humbly ask that you will join hands with us to transform Chinatown, Bridgeport, and the surrounding neighborhoods inside out for generations to come with quality character educations. So thank you very much. I'm turning the mic over back to Alderman Lee.
Thanks for that, Bonnie, and everybody. Here's where we're going to open up for questions. I see, Gail, you've patiently had your hand raised, so please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, I'm just curious what this traffic analysis that you've done. I see that you neglected to include when there is ball games in the area or special events at White Sox Park. What then with the traffic situation then?
Well, we did the counts in September of 2019. I'm not sure if I have to go back and look if the Sox were playing. Obviously in the morning, it's irrelevant whether there is a game day or not. That's an early start for the school. In the early afternoon, again, the school is letting out, early 2:30, 3 o'clock. So there may be some residual traffic starting to arrive to the ballpark, but it's not really peaking until the games start in the evening. So there may be some impact, but again, we don't believe it's going to be significant relative to the school start and dismissal times.
But there is instances where the games end around like 3 and 4, and there is bad traffic impact in the area at that time.
So Gail, I can chime in here too. I think when the time comes for this to, and you looked at the timeline, they're quite a ways away from this. But obviously there would be some conversation with OEMC and the SOX to better understand how we can coordinate so that we're not creating traffic snarls. I know that Canal Street is one of the thoroughfares that people, as they're exiting, especially leaving the ballpark, they leave down Canal Street from I forget which lot that is that's back there. But I understand the concern, and I had the same question, which was, you know, when the traffic study was done, was there SOX traffic as well, sort of taken into consideration? So it'd be great if you can just take a look at prior schedules, just to, I think it would be good for us to know whether or not that took that into account. But for everybody that's on the call from the community, we'd absolutely look to work with OEMC and those SOX to make sure that we're not creating more, that we're doing the best that we can to keep traffic moving and flowing. I don't know that Bonnie mentioned it earlier, but she's already been in touch with the principal over at Healy School as well. Last time we talked here at the ward office, I did make that suggestion. She's since has had a great conversation with the principal over at Healy, and they're prepared to work together to ensure that they're not doing start time and dismissal at the exact same time, so that those aren't happening all at once. Are there other questions? I'm going to check the chat. Okay,
If I
there's
may,
a
we
comment
just-
here. Most games start at 7 p.m., which means gates open 3 hours prior to game time, which is at 4 p.m. So that's when the early birds or the tailgaters are starting to head over. And so again, same sort of response from me there in terms of the participation of OEMC, and I would actually look to CDOT as well to get some to get a point of view from them as to how traffic might be directed. So I think it could also be that CDOT has an opinion about which way traffic flows at certain times of day, considering all of the traffic that's coming through.
And just anecdotally, the games, weekday day games are usually about once every 2 weeks. So maybe 2 times a year. And they'll generally be during the summer months when our enrollment is smaller.
And I just checked online, and the date we did the count, the Sox had a home game, so they were playing the Royals that day.
And do you know what time of day that game was happening? Sorry, I should have asked a complete question earlier.
Yeah, I don't know if it says here in the summary.
That's okay. You keep looking for that. I want to address
Oh
the
yeah,
other questions.
start time. Yeah, it started. It was an evening game. Started at 7:12 p.m.
Okay, so it was the latter situation that someone just mentioned with the 7 p.m. start, the gates open 3 hours prior. So that's what your study was based on. Okay.
Yep.
The other question that is in the chat right now is what will be done for parking for people who live by the school? So I don't know if anybody from Poytok wants to take that.
As far as parking, because we have on site the design to have the number of parking there, and if there's events, the owner across the canal property have also entered into agreement to allow us to use the property for parking. If there is any special event, we just need to let them know. We work things out. And we have calculated if we do valet parking, the empty lot and then the front and then wrap around, we could fit like close to 100 cars on that property alone. So then we will not be using, what I'm saying is we will not be taking away residents' normal parking space on the street, because we have our own 45 parking space and then across the street.
I want to add to it, I don't have the plans in front of me, but we do reduce the amount of curb cuts. So technically, there's more lineal footage for parking, so we might have to just go back and check that.
Thanks for that, Jim. There's another comment in the chat here. I wonder what the proportion of Poitoc school-driven traffic versus ballpark-driven traffic. Seems like White Sox could run their own traffic study to analyze their own impact to the neighborhood. Yeah, it's a great comment. I get lots of folks reaching out to me about White Sox traffic, so it's something that is an ongoing conversation with the White Sox. Are there any other questions or comments? Did we sufficiently answer this question about parking? I appreciate Poitoc School that you've thought ahead to that as well, with the arrangement with the property across the street for when you do have a special event or something. You know, I know that likely wouldn't be all the time. That would sort of be more event based, but that really does help to ensure that the street parking for the residents is still available. To the person that asked that question, were you asking specifically for like daytime, or were you thinking in the evenings? I'm asking because there's a distinction. I don't know what the CDOT rules are for, you know, no parking along a school, in front of a school during the day, but
well, this is Mary, and I'm thinking, I own the 3 flat right next door to where the school's going to be. So my tenants currently park on the street. And I'm just wondering what the impact will be for them. Will there be restricted parking for them, or will there be no school parking? You know, because parents are going to come and they're going to park on the street. I'm sure if they can't pull in and drive through, they're just going to park and drop their kids off. I'm just concerned for my tenants.
yeah, I think it's a very valid concern. You know, Bonnie, you can take a shot at answering this. And I just sort of on the surface, I would think, and I don't quote me on this because I don't actually know this for sure, but if because I live near a school now, it's not right next door to me, but there's usually no parking in front of the school during school hours, and then like after 4 p.m. Everybody can park, the residents can park on the street again. So overnight it should be fine, but that doesn't mean that it's like always going to be that way. Obviously, when there's that there's still going to be White Sox zone residential parking over there, so there'd be some protection there as well during game nights. But the school really does have a lot of parking spaces already.
I think maybe the only space that will take away during school operation is the width, I mean, the length of the property. And beyond that, you know, the resident could continue to park. And I believe is only between, like Alderman Lee was saying, I think after 4 p.m. is free parking. Everybody could park. And then if there's no school, there's certain day, the holiday when there's no school, is also free parking for the resident. And I do not foresee any of the staff will be using the street parking because I believe we have enough parking on campus.
Okay, so we're coming right up on time. We've got 3 minutes left. I'll do a last call for any questions or comments. I really appreciate everybody's time. If you've got any other.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to verify and attest that parking. I agree with Mary because I live next. My home is actually next to the Mary's building. I can tell you that parking here, believe it or not, is horrendous. You have other people coming down from Normal because there isn't parking down there, parking over here on Canal. And I'm telling you, sometimes when I go and I come back, I myself cannot find a parking space. I will literally, kid you not, have to drive for more than 30 minutes just to find a space to park so I could be near my home.
Thanks for that, Gail. And what we can do too is we can take a look at what other things that we can, if there's enough residents on the street that are interested in residential permit only parking, that is something that could potentially be a remedy for the parking issue that already exists there.
one thing I want to express is we do take your comment, your concerns very, very seriously. And since the first community meeting, we listened to a lot of feedback and comment, and that's why we came back to the drawing board and we hired a vendor to do a professional traffic study. Just want to make sure that we are not disturbing the resident. We are trying to come and offer something positive, but not to create disturbances. So we are taking, we listen to you and we take your concerns seriously. We will continue to work on improving traffic or parking. But right now, this is where we are. This is the homework we have done, including the traffic study, including visiting Healy School. I had a very, very good conversation with the principal there, and she's very supportive. And she even said that, because they also, because of the drop off and pick up, there are temporary one way, this way or that way. And she said that when the time comes, if we need to collaborate together, and then not only looking at Healy and not only looking at Pui Tak, but then together, how do we, navigate the traffic better for everyone? So then with that kind of support, we are very confident that we could come up with something that is, hopefully satisfactory to everyone.
That is a tall order to satisfy everybody, just saying. There was one other question. I saw one hand up. Are you still there? Jing He, please go ahead. You'll be the last question.
Hi, yeah, good evening. So this is Jane. Actually, I'm about a Pui Tak Christian School parents. My kids is currently in their pre-K program. I know that there is a lot of voice tonight, and we do hear the concern and comments, and a lot of experts have to give a lot of methods about parking, a lot of strategies. Here, I just want to give you guys a lot of short comments that from the heart of Pui Tak Christian School parents, we have been looking forward for this project for a long, long time. I know that you guys have to compare Pui Tak School to Healy School to White Sox. We have studied the traffic problem compared to those places. But I just want to let you guys understand that Pui Tak School is not a common place for us in our mind. Just like Principal Ho says that Pui Tak School is very special, putting their efforts to raise our kids, to educate our kids in terms of developing God's kingdom and helping kids to build up a healthy and very good characters, which matters, especially during this time in the American society. We do need this, please, people. We know that we have a lot of problem. We are facing a lot of difficulty, but please, please consider that this is not a common place. This is not a regular place. This is a place that it's very, very important, especially during this society. And we can work it out. We have a lot of experts here. I cannot even have a word saying that what should we solve this issue. But I just want you guys to understand that we can figure it out, and we will try our best to get it solved. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Great. And Tarima, if you have a brief comment, because I don't want to keep people over, already 2 minutes over, but go ahead.
It's very brief. Tarima Jean-Baptiste, head of the Parent Alliance at Pui Tak Christian School. I want to assure the neighbors that Principal Bonnie has talked to the parents about this for a very long time. I want to assure the neighbors that Principal Bonnie is a strong force. She hears your concerns. And I say that as a parent of 3 children. She hears our concerns as parents. She will hear your concerns as the community. She will find a solution. She runs a tight ship. We parents listen to her. So as the previous parent said, we're a different place. When Principal Bonnie tells us the rules, she calls us out and lets us know we are to be the character example to our children. So we follow the rules. So please know that we will work with you as a community. We will welcome you into our community. And I don't see anything but positiveness going forward. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the very extensive presentation and for everybody's time tonight. We appreciate everything, and we'll look to the Puyallup Christian School to just keep us updated on progress at this point. I saw the timeline. I know that this is still a ways off, but I do appreciate that you were able to come back and give some additional updates to the since the last meeting. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Take care.
Thank you, Alderman.
Bye-bye.
And
Thank you.
everybody from
Bye.
the community.
Thank you, everyone.